Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is October 26th, 2025, and crypto is about to prove itself. I will explain, but we are about to see something happen in the cryptocurrency space that changes most people's ideas of how valuable this asset class is, how worthwhile this asset class is. All right. And it came to me that this is exactly what's likely to happen based off of what we're seeing in the charts. If that interests you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with Bitcoin as per usual. Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. We can see what we anticipated, which is a retest of this resistance level right here, okay? This 116K level, which we said was likely going to be retested in this move right here. This move that I just traced out in pen is the middle of this yellow right here, this yellow flat correction. Okay, it's the middle. Let's readjust it just so we don't get confused, right? So just so you understand what's going on here, we're dealing with nested flat corrections. Nested flat corrections, which should yield something like this, okay? So this yellow flat correction, a three-wave move, which all corrective patterns are essentially, goes something like this. And right now we're in the B wave, or the middle part of that flat correction. The A wave goes down, the B wave goes up. So even though it looks kind of odd, the B wave went like this, we understand, looking at these corrective patterns, time and time again, that this is simply just another expression of a three-wave correction where you have your initial break, your counter correction, which is a flat correction in and of itself, and a final impulsive wave. So we're in the final part of the middle B wave of this yellow flat correction, and that should go back up to this resistance level, after which we should expect a move all the way back down here to this support level around 103.3, 103.4, something like that. All right, in the time this happens and Bitcoin pushes here, we said we should see a shift in altcoins, whereby altcoins begin to dominate the cryptocurrency market. I use that word purposefully, right? You may very well be aware of the Bitcoin dominance chart that we're going to look at in a second, but the idea is you have Bitcoin and you have everything else, okay? Cryptocurrencies has always been like this. Bitcoin and everything else. Everything else we call an altcoin, an alternative coin, okay? It's alternative to Bitcoin. And we have this indicator that's a Bitcoin dominance indicator. So basically you're looking at Bitcoin, which we've always thought of as the kind of a metonymous representation of crypto, okay? It's just, you're talking about crypto, it's Bitcoin, and then everything else. Bitcoin's that important. It's the first, right? 16 years ago, that's what came out. 16, 17 years ago, 2008, 2009, right? That's what came out. Started trading 2009, 2010, 2011, most charts. And then everything else slowly came about. So there's always this idea of not only people within crypto, but people outside of crypto, of thinking of this asset class as Bitcoin and everything else. Bitcoin's serious, everything else is not so serious. Bitcoin's useful, everything else is not so useful. Bitcoin's reliable, Bitcoin's dependable, Bitcoin's safe, everything else not so much. Right? And there's a reason for this. So let me finish with the technical analysis, and then we're going to, kind of think about what I teased in the intro, so the technical analysis is simple. Bitcoin leads the way, it sets the trend as per usual, and altcoins follow along but start to dominate, i.e., they go up much higher, much faster, much further than Bitcoin does, right? Because Bitcoin is almost at that target of 116,000, right? It's just a few percentage points away, like 2% away, right? Nevertheless, altcoins are starting to move up impulsively, 10%, 20%, 30% to begin with, and you should see that build more and more and more into 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% moves. That's altcoins dominating the market. That's what we call dominance, right? And that Bitcoin dominance chart then should start trending down. We're going to look at that in a second. So let's finish the previous thought. Why is it that people look at Bitcoin as being the only serious asset, and even then they think of crypto and they're like, yeah, it's cool, there's Bitcoin, but most of crypto is a scam, or most of crypto is awash with useless tokens, right? There are quite literally tens of millions of assets, because you can create an asset with nothing in just a blink of an eye. But if you go on CoinMarketCap, you go on CoinGecko, you should see 17 to 20,000 different assets. That's still a lot. So the count is 17 to 20,000 actively traded assets in the cryptocurrency space. Of those, who's to say what does what, right? Like, people think, altcoins, they immediately think Ethereum. That's, I could see some use in that, but what does Ethereum run? What does Ethereum do to make the world a better place? It may have some use case, but I don't personally know of any. But there are other altcoins so the narrative tends to be, and I think this is extremely lazy on behalf of many market participants, outsiders alike. They'll say, yeah, I don't know about these altcoins. They're pretty useless. I could see Bitcoin. I could see a case for that, but these altcoins don't do anything. There are altcoins that have been used for their entire life cycle to print stable coins, right? Tron. There are assets like VeChain that have been used for what do you call it? To keep tabs on stocks, not stocks, but like stock of goods that are shipped to and fro, between different countries, and then goods, once they get into the country, take inventory, like VeChain, right? There are cryptos like Cardano that have been used for years in developing African countries to hold medical records, to hold hospital records. Like, just because you don't know about it and you didn't bother to do research, it doesn't mean people haven't been using these cryptocurrencies for a long time, right? In gambling, people use crypto all the time. They're being used. Just because you don't know doesn't mean their use case doesn't exist. This is why I say it's a lazy narrative, because people tend not to take the time or the effort to do the research, and the whole idea of Bitcoin maximalism is an old one, but it's a comfortable one because it may have been true for some time, but it's no longer true by any stretch of the imagination. This space, by many, is simply just speculative, purely speculative. Just, you put some money on it, and then, if it goes up, then it's useful. If it goes down, it's probably not useful. So this gets me to the crux of my point, which is most people inside of cryptocurrency and outside of cryptocurrency, they ascribe value to things that appreciate in monetary value. To them, that's it. If it's expensive, if it costs dollars, if you could trade it for a relatively large amount of dollars, then it's valuable. And if you can't, then it's not valuable. A lot of people think in that way. And now, think about crypto. Think about 2008, the onset, the development of Bitcoin. So that's right. What? Sorry, I have to do math really quickly. 2008, 2015, that's 15, 16, 17 years ago, right? And then Bitcoin started trading 2009, 2010. So you're looking at 15, 16 years, but most charts will show 14, 15 years of price action. Then you start thinking of these altcoins, these alternative coins. What's their life cycle like? Most of them, and I did kind of a quick back of the napkin math on this, most altcoins of those 17 to 20,000 actively traded assets on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap are 6 to 8 years old. Now, if you understand price action, an asset that's been actively traded in a public space, right, free trade for 6 to 8 years is pretty much the incubation period. It's the time when market participants decide, is this valuable or not? And so what you're going to see on the chart is a bunch of this. It is indeterminate, non-trending, consolidative price action. But that's super normal and super healthy, and that's exactly what you should see in a mature asset, because it takes time for market participants to decide on the relative value of an asset. And as per Wyckoff, the initial consolidation is a normal, natural it's the start, it's the origin of the life cycle of an asset, right? When you think about the life cycle of an asset, a lot of people, for some reason, think assets are just supposed to go up if they're worth a damn. And if they're not, they go down. And so they're like, oh, that's garbage. That's dead. That's a dead coin because it went down when the thing just came out last year or 2 years ago. I say the majority of assets actually are much younger than 6 to 8 years, but you can think of an average of the older assets, the dino coins, as the analysts like to call them. They're 6 to 8 years. 6 to 8 years means they're just getting started. They're just in infancy. So bringing me to my point. If it's true, and now let's go to this chart right here, the other chart, which I believe is probably the most representative chart for altcoins right now. Let's go on the weekly. If it's true that altcoins are indeed, most altcoins did not participate in this 2020 bull run. Most altcoins came on the scene here just by numbers. So that's the most altcoins came on the scene here. But this right here is the consolidation period that I was just referring to, that most altcoins just did, right? It's a lot of altcoins have essentially just been in consolidation for 1,200, 300, 400 days, 1,500 days. Okay? And so they haven't done anything. And so think about it. If most altcoins just started and most altcoins have just been in the market phase of determining their value, right? How is value determined? People have to understand this. This is an organic process. It's not somebody saying, this is going to be worth that much because, this hedge fund and this firm and this country or this individual invested in it. No, it doesn't work like that. It is an organic process that typically takes years, where people buy and sell the asset over an extended period of time, and it doesn't go up or doesn't go down in a definitive way, but it goes sideways. And then when the supply finally runs out, it marks up. And then the first target is the first show of it's appreciating in value because the supply ran out and people over a long prolonged span of time decided this was worth something. I want to really drive that point home. So if you think about markets and you think about how assets consolidate at the beginning of their life cycles, and you think about how old crypto is, I always try to put this in perspective. Crypto as an asset class is so young. And people keep talking, I've been around for 5 cycles. It's like, you have no understanding what a cycle is. You're literally looking at something that just is coming online. And so, although a lot of people's perspective are skewed and they think, crypto's been around for years and that hasn't done anything, it's worthless. Honestly, for any analyst that looks at this with a clear eye can see that the value, the time, or the period of, or not the period of time, I'm losing my words here. The point in time where crypto actually shows monetary value has yet to come. This is now. This is exactly when you're going to see the value over years, 6 to 8 years on average, show up and express as a monetary appreciation. And that's a normal and natural thing that you can see across markets. Because over the past 6 to 8 years, the narrative is people have, all right, maybe there's something here. All right, maybe we'll invest in that. All right, maybe we'll accumulate that. All right, maybe we'll hold that. And now you're going to see it appreciate in price. So I really want you to think in that way. And then once people see the price appreciation, because, people always react to what they see and they don't necessarily look at what caused what they see, right? They look at the effect, they don't think of the cause. So we see the cause right here and we know the effect is coming. So we already know it's valuable because we can see proper accumulation over a span of time. We can see that people have been buying and holding and, appreciating the asset quite literally. And so eventually that marks up and shows itself monetarily. And then the world is going to say, you know what? I think there's something to this crypto thing. I think it may be valuable. Look at the price, honey. But it always has been. For generally speaking, it always has been. There's always been value in this space. One, you haven't done any research to find out what the actual practical value of it was. Two, you're waiting until the price appreciates to ascribe value to it. So this disbelief rally is going to be the beginning of the world saying crypto has value. And I say that specifically noting that Bitcoin right now is bearish, as I've been saying for the past year. Bitcoin's bearish. Bitcoin is going to fall with a high degree of probability right back down to the 50s, 50 to 60K. And still, people are going to say crypto might have value because it's going to finally be, and we haven't seen this, it's going to finally be a situation where a bunch of random dino coin cryptocurrencies that people forgot about because 3 to 4 years is that's far too long. People can't think past 5 minutes. So 3 to 4 years ago, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, oh, I thought that was dead. What's it doing up here? Right? They're going to look at charts, they're going to look at values of different tokens and see, wow, they appreciated. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's stagnant and Bitcoin's falling even. There may be something to this crypto thing, even aside from Bitcoin. That's going to be a first. Finally, you're going to start seeing people thinking about crypto without just thinking about Bitcoin, and not only feeling that Bitcoin is what makes the market, but there are other really respectable, really valuable monetarily and practically assets in our space. All right, this is what this disbelief rally is telling me, right? And I'm not just saying this. Look, this chart is exactly the encapsulation of what I just ranted about, because you have Bitcoin dominance. I talked about dominance. This chart breaking down ever since the 10/10 liquidation event, right? October 10th liquidation event. It's been coming down and it's still in this trend and expected to keep going down, right? And what can we see? Let's zoom out for a second. If Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to go down, and I can see it going down, right? Because it retested this midline. So that's one way, that's the first sign of leaving a channel, breaking down from a channel. And then you break the channel, typically the height of the channel superimposed from the site of breakdown, which is the bottom of the channel. So I expect us to eventually reach this support level, right here. And then the last move is a retest of the bottom of the channel as resistance. Previous support, now retested as new resistance. This is not the final retest. You're gonna get a big retest right here. But essentially, what you can expect from Bitcoin dominance, and remember what dominance is. It is the idea that Bitcoin is gaining against altcoins. And that's been the story for so long. People think that it's a permanent thing. So many analysts, so many people think Bitcoin will in perpetuity be more valuable and gain value vis-a-vis altcoins. And so they're scared to even touch these altcoins, and they think very lowly of these altcoins. But if you look at this, it says otherwise. Right here, you can see ever since 2022, so the past 3 years essentially, Bitcoin's been gaining against altcoins. All of a sudden, the trend started to change very slowly in the beginning of this year. And then in June, even more markedly, the beginning of Altseason, the technical beginning of Altseason. But now you get the actual palpable beginning of Altseason, where you can flip on your coin crypto bubbles. You go in your top 100. Sorry, one sec. You go in your top 100, and you're going to see this time and time and time again. You're going to see Bitcoin wherever it is. I don't even see it. Do you see it? I don't see it. Bitcoin's up a couple percent, I think, for the day. Yeah, 1.74%. It's up 1.74% for the day. You're going to see a bunch of random assets, some that have practical value and others that probably don't, up many times Bitcoin. And you're going to see that day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And over the course of, right, the previous trend lasted 3 years. You don't always have winter. You don't always have summer. You don't always have fall. You don't always have spring. You don't always have the dry season. You don't always have the rainy season. Every cycle in existence rotates and it changes, right? So that was Bitcoin season. You're going to see what we call alt season. Whether you look at the top 100 in market cap, whether you look at the top 200 in market cap, you're going to see this effect of a bunch of dino coins, random altcoins, some that you like, some that you don't like, some that, do something in the world, others that don't, be significantly higher. Bitcoin, again, is up 1.74% for the day. Why is AKT, whatever the hell it is, I have no idea what it is, why is it up 36%? Why is Zen up 23.8%? Why is Dash up 19%? I thought that was dead. It's a dino coin, so on and so forth. This is what people are going to use to say, oh, I guess it does have value. But remember, value in price doesn't always equal value in the real world. It's a subjective thing, right? But you're going to start to see the price appreciation of altcoins against Bitcoin based off of this chart right here, right? And this is going to continue. This trend is going to continue for some time, and it's going to be drastic, even more so than Bitcoin gaining against altcoins, because this is likely to break, right? Because look, zoom out, look, and this is just basic technical analysis here. You're looking at, ever since crypto started, this right here building on itself. This right here is essentially not going to hold. Yes, is there a world where this happens? Probably, but this M-top that we call it in technical analysis tends to break down, then retest. So expect whatever you saw here to be bested by this, and expect that to really go down by quite a bit, right? And we can even say, more likely than not, by the height of this bearish reversal pattern superimposed from the site of breakdown. So that's what you're looking at. That's what this chart is telling you. These altcoins that have just left, most of which have just left their incubation stages, right? 6 to 8 years of incubation at the beginning of their market cycle, are finally going to start to show price appreciation. And that's going to be where everybody starts going crazy, because that's how markets work. When price goes up, they start talking about it. They start saying, well, I guess these NFTs are worthwhile. I guess this monkey or this rock on this digital rock is worth millions of dollars. Just, do you understand? Value has nothing to do with, it's completely arbitrary. People are selling NFTs of random rocks for millions of dollars, of pictures of monkeys for millions of dollars. Tulips, right? It's not the first time in history. Understand how markets work. There was a tulip boom. There was, so many booms. There are so many booms. Study markets outside of crypto. Understand, price is a thing that happens, and value is subjective. It's subjective. So the idea that crypto is useless, that's a take. It's a subjective take. But do believe, whether you think it's useless or useful, the price is going to go up. The price is going to go up. Last but not least, here we have the first indications of, let's go on 4 hourly time frame. This disbelief rally that I've been talking about actually coming to fruition and targeting our first logical resistance up here, right? And that's happening right now. So this is where you can see price appreciation, green candles in these altcoins, and that trend should continue, obviously not in a straight line, but notwithstanding the retracements, it should continue. So that's my take. That's what I wanted to share today. Hope this was helpful, useful. Like, share, subscribe. If you got value, consider joining my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, which is linked down below in the pinned comment, where you can trade directly with me. We identify assets that are likely to partake in this bull market, in this 2025 bull run, that's likely to last a while, because not all assets will partake, and some assets are close, others are completely ready, others are not at all ready, they're years away. So I think that's the most useful thing I do, to be honest. And then the other thing is we identify local levels of support and resistance where you can make sure to take profit at a high probability resistance, re-enter the trade so you can snowball your gains and really grow your portfolio aggressively. So that's the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. If you're only interested in my take on a single asset, and you don't want to commit to up to 5 different assets, a whole portfolio, and all that other support, you just want a quick and dirty analysis, you can order that through the instructions also in the pinned comment below. Email me after you make the payment, and then within 24 hours you should have that analysis in your inbox. All right, that's it. Take care. Bye.
I vocalize too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin?